from a trade rep. This is Short Hammer. It is the 26th of June 2019, and we are looking at Amazon. Now, yesterday Amazon had a slight pullback. Now let's look at this on the daily chart and just check out some levels. So if we go back, and we've been looking for pattern repeats in Amazon, which it does quite frequently. So on the 22nd, we talked about this 1845 pullback and hold, and we see this area of congestion here that led to this 100-point push to the upside, a little bit more than 100 points. And we were watching here, this was our back test here, and even though we didn't see the same strength as far as this made this move in two candles to go up and touch the 1914 by 1923 area, we made it may take a few more days, but we got the same result. We didn't come in with the same force just because we definitely have a lot of things floating, a lot of turbulence. We have interest rates floating. We have the trade war stuff floating. Now we have things with Iran. It's a lot of things that are going on in the market that are ancillary things that are causing the market to move in different directions. Now, from this level, the last time that Amazon pushed through the 1923s, look at the strength of this push. So these two candles almost consolidating here above this 1899 area. And then we have these two candles consolidating above in the 1890s also. Then we have the push up. This push up is not as strong as this push up. So when we had this pullback here, the bottom of this low, the swing low on this candle is 1881. So 1881.87 roughly. But this is coming from a 1955 area. So here, the high of this candle is 1935, so about 20 points lower. The swing low on this candle is 1872, about 10 points lower. So technically, if we're going to have a similar play, we can go all the way down to 1862ish, 1861ish, and still be okay, and potentially gap up here or have a push up here with any type of good news. The news that caused us to drop wasn't really news. The two of the Fed speakers just came out and they were less dovish than people expected. And what they really said was, and they made a legitimate statement. You can't let politics control Fed policy. And that's a legitimate statement. They're not saying they're against lowering interest rates. They're not saying interest rates are never going to be lowered. But that's true. That's a good statement. The other statement that was made was the amount of interest rates, or the amount interest rates should be lowered. So I think they're talking on something, but they haven't really pivoted and gone in a different direction, right? So at any moment they can come out and say something that says, hey, and reverse course on their statement, as Powell has done multiple times. So don't get caught up in, oh my gosh, the market's going to flush. Just focus on your levels in Amazon. So watch the 1875, watch the 1868 area, 1858 you watch. To me, the line in the stand is going to be this 1845. If we crack 1845, then I'm going to start to think that we may go quite a bit lower, because now you have overhead of 1845, 1868, 1875, 1889. Then you're going to have the 1895 area. Then you're going to have the 1902, 1908. And now you have the 1916 above that, and 1923.75. So I think that on Amazon, we're all right. We're holding above this area. This was an area that we channeled in for almost a week. Like we'd go above it, go below, but we'll sort of get pulled back into that channel. So I wouldn't be overly worried right now on Amazon. Just watch and see what happens. Now below this 1889, do we have more capacity to go down? Yes, we do. But let's see what happens. Amazon has earnings coming up. It's like the 25th of July. A slight pullback is normal, roughly 30 days or so before earnings, for the earnings run. So let's see where we base on Amazon. No reason to panic, and watch these levels. And let's slide. Now we're looking at the 5-minute chart, and if we look at what exactly happened yesterday, so Amazon pushed up into this 1916 area, the quarterly pivot, and just from the spike it couldn't get over that, and it had just all the EMAs, everything just was real tight and headed to the downside, and then its inability to close above that, it immediately dropped the 19. This is the main intraday pivot here at 1910.50 or so the 1910s. It dropped below that through the monthly pivot, or no, this is through the weekly pivot, and then it tried to spike back above, but you just see no strength. And this, I believe, was prior to the statements being made by members of the Federal Reserve. And so here is the monthly pivot, this blue dash line, and if we look back, that has been a great place that we've seen support. Boom, boom, bounce back up, trying to get through, but the overhead's too strong, just too much congestion above. So this area has kind of held up for us. Below it, but sort of gravitated back to it, got back above, then springboard up. That area's kind of been a nice area of support for us, which we went through, retested, and we went down to the 1889 initially, pierced it pretty hard, then we pulled back. So it's 1895, try to base 1889. So this was Amazon trying to regain and sort of skip back up and get up here, but just the weight of what was said sort of pulled us to the downside. So what we're going to be watching for later today is, does Amazon hold this 1875? That's one question. If not, does Amazon hold the 1868? And does Amazon channel between the 1875 and 1868? Or is the selling pressure going to be so strong that Amazon's going to draw down all the way to this 1850s area? That's what we want to watch. If Amazon consolidates above the 1868 area here in this channel or up here, I still think we have a high probability to go to the upside. But what we don't want to do is preempt and jump in hoping that we go to the upside or hoping that we get good news. We're heading into the G20, so we do have a catalyst coming, and we also do have earnings coming. So I'll be careful on Amazon, yes, but you can wait for the buyers to step in. Wait until you see a steady floor, and wait until we see a reversal in this pattern and we regain some of these prior levels. If we're at the 1875, for me, once we get back above 1889, then I can get in here and I'll have a clear stop loss if we close below the 1889. At the 1875, yes, you can buy there too and have a stop loss if we go below 1868. But right now, with the news being so variable, I wouldn't risk this because there's no telling what else could be said that could take us down. And even if we go to the 1840s area, as long as we hold, to me, we still have the ability to springboard back up into the 1900s. So let's see where this drawdown ends, and that may give us a great opportunity to build a position in Amazon for the earnings run, which will be earnings, I believe, is July 25th. So that's just my perspective on Amazon. Don't overreact and don't guess, just wait. We'll see a clear sign if we found a base and if Amazon gives us that look like that she wants to run. And if you're short biased on Amazon and you're trying to hammer Amazon, be careful, but you know the levels. Watch, we're at 1870, right above 1875, which to me is a demand area. 1868 is a demand area, and our supply demand zone is here, 1845 by 1858. Above you, 1889. So if I was looking to short Amazon, I would look to either test the 1889 and then to sell off, or if we went below 1875, retested and we were a little bit weak, you do have a little bit of room to the downside, but the 1868 is right there. Got to kind of be careful. So this is almost a zone in and of itself. This 1868 by 1875, just based on that previous channel and based on buyers stepping in and just the respect of this level. So just be careful if you're short. Be cognizant of these levels, and just keep your eye on the news, because that seems Amazon has at this moment no catalyst of its own. So what we're hearing, the news that's coming out, is sort of what's moving the market and moving Amazon. And also watch the SPY, because I believe it was Monday and Tuesday, there was a divergence between SPY and Amazon, where Amazon was still pushing up a little bit and sort of consolidating and going sideways, but more to the upside, while the SPY was going to the downside. And it turned out that they did end up sinking, and the sink was that Amazon dropped. So just keep an eye on the SPY and an eye on Amazon together, because usually they do tend to sync up. Not always, but if one is down and the other is up, just keep your eye on that, because usually they'll find a way to move in tandem. And another note, the main intraday pivot for tomorrow is right below this 1889 area. It's 1888. It looks like this yellow dash line. So the main intraday pivot for tomorrow on Amazon is 1888. So we have to see where we open and if we're below or above that. And also this 1889 for me is a 78.6% fib. I don't use fib lines that heavily, but I just tend to have them in the background. But that also happens to be a fib line for me.